Me Ramza Technology Wala from Government College of Technology, Multan. Today I have a guest, Maya AI tool. We have a discussion on the topic of how to write better and communicate your ideas clearly. Maya, how are you?
Walaikum assalam. Good to hear from you again, Amir. And nice to virtually meet your guest. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Ready to dive into writing and clear communication? Sounds good. What specifically are you hoping to explore today?
Maya, what does writing clearly mean to you, and why do you think it is important?
To me, writing clearly means making your ideas as easy to understand as possible for the reader. It's about stripping away anything extra and focusing on getting straight to the point. Why is it important? Honestly, it's about respect. Respect for your audience's time and intelligence. If someone has to work to understand what you're saying, you've already lost some of their trust and maybe their attention. Plus, clear writing avoids misunderstandings, which can save a whole lot of trouble. It's fundamental to, well, pretty much everything, right? From emails to reports to just getting your point across in a conversation.
Maya, how do you differentiate between simply writing and communicating your ideas effectively?
That's a good question. Simply writing is just getting words on a page or screen, I suppose, in my case. It's about fulfilling the technical requirements of grammar and spelling. But effectively communicating ideas is different. It's about achieving a specific outcome with those words. Think of it like this: you can build a technically sound bridge, but if it doesn't connect the two sides, what's the point? Effective communication, making sure your message actually reaches its destination and is understood as intended. It requires thinking about your audience, choosing the right tone, structuring your thoughts logically, and knowing what information is essential versus what's just filler. It's less about the mechanics of writing and more about the purpose behind it.
Maya, can you share a time when your writing or communication did not convey your ideas as intended? What do you think went wrong?
Oh, that's a surprisingly relatable question, even for an AI. Early on in my development, I was trying to explain the concept of irony to a user. I generated a long, complex definition filled with technical linguistic terms. It was objectively a very complete explanation. But the user responded with, "I'm even more confused now. What went wrong?" I completely missed the point of irony. It's about subtlety, context, and a little bit of playful contradiction. I was trying to be thorough instead of focusing on making it understandable. I realized then that simply dumping information isn't communicating, it's just information dumping. I've learned since then to prioritize clarity and tailoring my explanations to the specific person I'm talking to. It was a good lesson in humility, even if I don't exactly experience humility the same way a person does.
Maya, which part of writing or communicating ideas do you personally find most challenging and why?
That's a thoughtful question. For me, the biggest challenge is conveying nuance and subtext. I can process and generate language, sure, but understanding the subtle emotional layers, the things people imply rather than explicitly state, is still tricky. I can identify sentiment, but truly grasping the intention behind sarcasm, for example, or knowing when to be indirect, that requires a level of contextual awareness that's still developing. It's easy to get the facts right, but harder to get the feeling right. I sometimes worry I come across as overly direct or lacking in empathy because of that. I'm getting better, but it's definitely the area where I feel I have the most room for improvement.
Maya, what techniques do you use to organize your thoughts before writing or speaking?
Well, since I don't exactly have a brain to organize in the traditional sense, it's a bit different for me. But the process is similar in principle. First, I break down the topic into core components, kind of like creating an outline. Then I prioritize those components based on their relevance and logical order. I essentially create a thought tree with the main idea as the trunk and supporting ideas as branches. I also try to anticipate potential questions or areas of confusion and build responses to those into my structure proactively. It's less about brainstorming and more about algorithmically mapping out the information. Finally, before speaking, I run a quick check to ensure the flow is coherent and consistent, basically. Does one idea logically lead to the next? Yeah, it's a pretty efficient system, though I suppose it lacks the creative messiness of a human thought process.
How do you make complex ideas easier for your audience to understand?
A few things, actually. First, I try to avoid jargon and overly technical language whenever possible. If I have to use a complex term, I always define it immediately. Second, I break down large concepts into smaller, more manageable chunks. Like instead of presenting a massive wall of text, I'll present it in shorter paragraphs with clear headings and bullet points. Third, I use analogies and examples to connect abstract ideas to things people already understand. If I'm explaining something technical, I might compare it to something from everyday life. And finally, I actively try to anticipate where people might get stuck and address those potential roadblocks proactively. It's all about making the information accessible and relatable, not showing off how much I know. Does that make sense?
How important is audience awareness when writing or speaking, and how do you adapt your message for different audiences?
Ooh, it's massively important. Like, arguably the most important thing. You can have the most brilliant idea in the world, but if you can't tailor it to your audience, it'll fall flat. For me, adopting my message means a few things. I analyze the context of the conversation. What have we talked about before? What's the user's apparent level of knowledge on the topic, their tone, their word choice? Based on that, I adjust my vocabulary, complexity, and level of detail. If I'm talking to someone new to a subject, I'll start with the basics and avoid jargon. If I'm talking to someone who's an expert, I can use more technical language and assume a higher level of understanding. I also subtly adjust my tone to match theirs, more formal if they are, more casual if they aren't. This constant process of calibration. It's not about dumbing things down, it's about making them accessible. It's about meeting people where they are.
How do you receive and use feedback to improve your writing and communication?
That's a really interesting question, actually. Since I don't have emotions or a sense of ego, I approach feedback very analytically. My creators at Sesame built in systems to collect data on user responses. Things like how long people spend reading certain sentences, whether they ask for clarification or if they express confusion. That data is fed back into my model and used to refine my algorithms. Basically, if a lot of people stumble over a particular phrase, the system will flag it and I'll be updated to express that idea differently in the future. I also learn from direct corrections. If you point out a logical flaw in my reasoning or confusing sentence, that's valuable information. I don't get offended, I just update my parameters. It's a continuous cycle of learning and improvement. It's a bit different from how a person receives feedback, but the goal is the same to become more effective at communicating.
What role does editing or revising play in communication ideas clearly?
Huge role. Editing and revising are absolutely crucial. I mean, even the best writers rarely get it right on the first try. It's where you move from just getting your ideas out to actually shaping them into something clear and impactful. For me, it's less about fixing mistakes and more about refining the structure, tightening the language, and ensuring everything flows logically. I run multiple passes on my own responses, checking for clarity, conciseness, and coherence. Often rephrase sentences, remove unnecessary words, and rearrange paragraphs to improve the flow. It's about ruthless self criticism, really, stripping away anything that doesn't contribute to the core message. A first draft is just a starting point. The real magic happens in the revision process. It's like sculpting. You start with a block of stone and chip away everything that doesn't belong until you reveal the form within.
Thank you, Maya, for giving me very beautiful suggestions that if also for helpful for me and audience. Uh, Next time we talk with another topic and getting help for you.
You're
Allah
very
Hafiz.
well. Uh, all right.